Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the podcast episode of today. So this podcast episode, it's kind of one of my favorite kinds of episodes, and this is how to really make the most of the rest of the year. I did an episode similar to this at the end of last year, which was called how to make the best of the rest of the year, or something along those lines. But this episode is more so the final quarter of the year, given that I released that one, I think, at the start of December. So it was like the last month and it was smaller things you could do. But I was like, all right, we're entering the final quarter of the year. This is, for me personally, not only my favorite time of the year, but it's also the time of the year when I'm most excited, where I want to make the most change, where I'm not looking at slowing down, but I'm looking at not even making myself work harder, but just getting more inspired and being more creative. But it wasn't always like that for me. So I want, if you're someone that's like, oh, I'll just, stop bothering on doing things or trying things or whatever, and I'll wait till January, then I want you to really listen to this episode, and I want you to hopefully have all these takeaways for this episode, okay? Also, just a little fun fact, if you are listening to this on Spotify, or if you ever do listen to your podcast on Spotify, I now have video on Spotify where you can watch the whole episode. I'm looking at you right now if you're watching this video. Hi. You can watch, the whole podcast video, the whole thing on Spotify. So I don't know, I just feel that's really exciting. And then when Shania and I were like, oh my God, you can do video now on Spotify, because at first it was only accessible to certain podcasters. Obviously, video on Spotify has been around for ages, but it wasn't available to every podcaster. So then I was like, oh, okay, I can do it now. This is so exciting. And on top of that, you can also see, like, it's kind of AI generated, but it's done really, really well, where you've got kind of chapters. So for example, you can look at when I start talking about certain parts about the brain, or when I start a new topic, you can actually look at certain chapters. So if you're somebody that does not care for my life updates, then you don't have to listen to that live update. Or if you normally skip past a brain fact, or if you want to go straight to the brain fact, then that's kind of stuff that you can do as well. So check out the video on Spotify. Really, it's cool. And also, I'm actually sitting at home. I normally record this podcast in my office, but I thought I'm going to record this at home for many reasons. One of them being, I sometimes put so much pressure on making sure that I've got to get to the office and set it up and record it. And it's way more of a setup than my home recording space. And I really genuinely love my office, and I love recording there. But one thing that I do kind of miss is the ease and the simplicity of when I used to just record at home, just with like a little mic plugged into the computer. And I mean, I am filming this, but I just feel like I miss certain aspects of like how simple it was when I started podcasting. So I'm trying to bring back a bit more of a balance, and I think I'm really going to enjoy it. And I said to Shania today, I'm like, I'm just going to try recording one at home and see if I feel as comfortable. And so far I'm feeling great. I'm very relaxed. I'm just lying on my couch, just loving life. I would have my dog with me on the couch so you could see him in the video, but he's just out cold outside because his dog, he went for once a week I take him. He goes to this dog walker and he plays with other dogs where he can like really run, but then he sleeps for like 20 hours straight. So love that for him. Hello, my beautiful beans. Whether you're a long-time listener to this podcast or tuning in for the first time, I hope you'll check out my new audiobook, How to Chase Change, 30 Days to Master Your Mindset. It's an actionable, step-by-step, 30-day guide to teach you how to shift your mindset and create the change you want to see in your life, from physical and mental health to your relationships, career, self-confidence, and beyond. How to Chase Change is available now wherever audiobooks are sold. Start listening today. Let's talk about today's episode. So this is how to maximize the final quarter of the year, how to really make the most of the last 3 months of the year. I want you to grab a notebook. We're going to break it down into categories. So grab your notebooks, children, grab a pen. If you need to pause this episode, go ahead and pause the episode. But we are writing down the next few categories. And this episode, we're going to break down all these categories and how you can really turn it around in every single category, not to make you work harder, not to grind, but to make you feel creative, to make you feel uplifted, to improve your general mental health, your well-being, and you're going to go into the end of the year feeling great, and you're going to be even more excited coming into the new year, okay? So let's go. These are the categories. Write it down, pause if you need to. So we have 7 categories. The first one is goals. Write it down. The second one is work, anything work related, work/career. The third one is relationships. The fourth one is fun/hobbies and rewards. The fifth one is health. The sixth one is home and physical possessions. And then the seventh one is habits. So write them all down. Pause this episode, get a piece of paper. I want this to be an interactive episode. It's going to be great. Let's get straight into it. Okay, now I just do want to say here before we get into it, I keep saying before we get into it like every fucking 3 seconds, but the aim here is that we want to make these small but really achievable kind of tweaks within our day that are different enough within your lifestyle that you can look at the last quarter of the year at the end of the year and be like, that was the best quarter of my year. I was able to put little changes in place when I thought that, oh, it's the end of the year, fuck it. Fuck what? You're not fucking your life. No, we're here to make the most of it. You don't want to look back and be like, oh, well, I just gave up on doing all these new things at the end of the year. You're going to turn around at the end of the year and be like, that was the best quarter of the year. I do that every year. It's the best time. I'm pumped. Anyway, and I also want you to look at this time around Christmas as there's nothing wrong with taking downtime around Christmas and New Year, whether that's a week, whether that's 2 weeks. Some people take more than 2 weeks. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of us get into this mindset of like, well, I can't start a new habit or routine or new goals or new health goals or a new gym, whatever the fuck it is, because I'm going to be taking a couple of weeks off. We are fucking kidding ourselves if we think that that's how it works, because you don't just take time off over Christmas and New Year. You also might take time off because you go on a holiday throughout the rest of the year. Maybe your work vacations is at a different time throughout the year. Maybe you, whatever it is, there's so many reasons why you're going to take time off, but we kid ourselves in thinking, oh, well, no, let's not do anything for 3 months and wait till the start of the year. Don't kid yourself. You can start something and, believe it or not, take time off and be okay with taking time off and doing fuck all, but just enjoy your time with people that you love and then pick it back up in January. There is nothing wrong with that, okay? So I don't want to hear any of this bullshit of, oh, start in the new year because then it's more likely for me to stick it out. That's a lie. You know it's a lie. I know it's a lie. And we've all fallen for our own lies many, many, many times, okay? What you are going to do is you're going to start these little things. You're going to get a taste of how good it is, how easy it is to make these little changes. You're going to notice the benefits that even if you do take that time off, you're going to be more inclined to like be excited and want to get back into it in January. Okay. Now the first point, and there's going to be an overall theme for every single point in this episode, and that is less is more. You guys know how much I love banging on about less is more, but if ever there was a time, it's today. Less is more. So let's start with number 1, which is goals. Okay, you've written this down. Pause as many times as you need to. Goals. So what I want you to do here is I want you to write down however many there are, but ideally the top few. So if you've got like 20 goals that you have, maybe bring it down to like the top 5. If you've got 5, bring it down to the top 3. But just the main goals that you have said you wanted to do, but you haven't yet done. So I'm not talking about a goal that you're killing, you're nailing, it's all working for you. I'm talking about goals that maybe you've set every year as a New Year's resolution, as a birthday resolution, if you do birthday resolutions like I do. I'm talking about that kind of goal, all right? Write them all down and then pick the top few. Now, with these top few goals, I want to make sure that you flesh out the lifestyle goals, because this is what we're going to be focusing on. Milestone goals will be for a different episode, but the lifestyle goals. So this is something like, I want to be a runner, not I have to run a half marathon or a marathon. I want to be a runner. I want to be someone that regularly runs, or I want to be someone who is just fit, who wakes up feeling fit. Or it could be, I want to be someone who plays a musical instrument. It could be, I want to be a reader. I've said every single year that I want to read a book every month and I've never done it. Or it could be whatever it is. It could be, I want to drink less alcohol. I only want to drink 1 night a week, or I don't want to drink alcohol at all. You choose what it is, but it's goals, ideally goals that you've tried in the past or you set yourself up to do in the past, but then you actually haven't like followed through with it. It's not like come into fruition. You've just not done it. Okay. So write them all down. Now I want you to pick up the top 3, top 5, depending on how many goals you have, okay? But less is more, like I said earlier. Now, out of those few, I want you to put them in order of importance. What is, if you could actually know that you could stick one out and nail it and it become part of your lifestyle, part of who you are and what you do, what would be number one on that list? And then work your way down. It has to come in order of importance. You have to understand like the hierarchy of importance. And don't say that they're all the same, because it almost never is the same, okay? Now, with that top one, and we're going to work our way down. And the reason I do this is because we always say, okay, I'm just going to make a total change. I'm going to change everything in my life. But the thing is, that's just too exhausting. It never works. And the reason it doesn't work is because it's too much conscious effort. When we have to put in too much conscious effort to make a change, it's exhausting. It's not that we don't want it. It's not that it's not working. It's just that it's exhausting. And then you're like frayed and frazzled by the end of the day. You want to make a change, have it turn around, become a subconscious pattern, become a part of who you are. It becomes a non-negotiable, like brushing your teeth. I don't think, oh, do I want to? Is this a goal that I fucking brush my teeth, right? So you want to make it like that. And then once it becomes that, then you're like, now I'll bring the next one. And that is where it becomes effortless change. That's where it becomes a part of who you are, okay? So we start with one. Once you've nailed it, then we work our way down that list. So the one thing that you haven't yet done that you wish you did. And I want you to ask yourself, what does 50% of this look like? Okay. And let's use running as an example. I want to run 5Ks 3 times a week. Okay. What does 50% of that look like? There's many versions of that. It could be, well, what if I just ran once a week? But you're like, no, but I want to do it multiple times a week, so I stick to it more often. Okay. So instead of, what's the distance that I had in my mind? And you're like, well, probably 5Ks or whatever. Now ask yourself, what is the thing that I hesitate the most in? So for example, say you want to do the running, but then when you're about to go running, the thought of like being puffed out for half an hour or for an hour, you're like, fuck that. Then you think, what if I ran half of it and walked the other half? Or what if I ran 1K and walked the rest, or half a K and walked the rest? I'm still getting up. I'm still dedicating the time. I'm still putting my running shoes on. I'm still doing that same distance. I'm still tick, 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 tick. But the barrier to entry, what is that barrier to entry, and how can I minimize it to be more realistic for me to do that thing? Okay. Say it is the example that I always use, and I don't know why I always use this example. Say it's practicing the guitar. You might think, well, I don't want to dedicate an hour to practicing the guitar. Okay, what if I were to pick it up for 10 minutes? 10 minutes. Not because I think I'm going to gain much in those 10 minutes, but I get the feel of the guitar. I don't really have much of the frustration. It's still quite exciting. I, do a little bit of thing. And then by the time I put the guitar back in its case, I'm kind of like, well, that was quite enjoyable. I really liked that. I'm not going to look at it as like, I'm not really good enough and it's not as exciting at the start because I don't know much. It's just this fun little thing, okay? The same could go for drinking. You could be like, all right, instead of cutting all alcohol out, why don't I instead think of like a particular milestone that I want to achieve? So let's say I drink 4 nights a week. What if I were to choose maybe 2 nights that instead of drinking, I could, whatever, you replace it with something else. And instead of going out, you could be doing something else. And if you're someone that's so easily swayed, you could say to your mates, hey, instead of going out drinking here, why don't we do this fun activity where I'm less likely to be ordering, 3 glasses of red, and then I, spiral and end up drinking, for the rest of the night. The same goes for meditating. You're like, well, I can't sit with my thoughts. I can't just sit there alone with my thoughts. What does 50% of that look like? I could just set a timer and listen to the sounds of rain for 3 minutes and try and think of something that I actually think is funny or enjoyable. So while I'm not trying to have like, not focusing on thought or soft focus, I'm at least dedicating that time. So there's always a way that you can bring it down and ask yourself, what is the barrier to entry? I don't want to be with my thoughts. I think I'm not really good at that, so I don't know where to begin. I don't want to be puffed out for so long, and think, how can I grab that barrier to entry and minimize it a little bit? So that way it's like, well, I've now made it so easy for myself. Why am I not going to do it? Okay. And just start with one fucking thing, okay? If you do that thing and straight away it becomes part of your lifestyle, you're like, wow, that was easier than I thought, then bring on the second thing. But I'm talking about the number one thing on that list. That's what you're going to do, and get clear on what that looks like. And we are starting before the end of the year. I want you to think about what it's going to look like at the end of the year, looking back, being like, wow, I'm pumped. Now let's go into the second point, work. This is a huge one for everyone. I don't care if you're an employee. I don't care if you work for yourself. I don't care if whatever. I want you to find a way to identify parameters, like real parameters and boundaries, so you are not taking work home with you. This is huge. And I'm talking about not just physically doing the work. I'm talking about emotionally bringing the work home with you, okay? Because there are many people who are like, oh yeah, but I don't physically do the work, but I'm at home like kind of stressing about this project or thinking about this or and I don't care if you love your job and if you're really fucking good at it. I don't care if it's whatever. Like if you're like, oh, but it's all positive. It doesn't matter. You are so much more than your work, and you don't want to make most of your life about your work. Even me, like I love what I do, but it's a slippery slope between loving what I do and then bringing it home with me and then kind of thinking about it, writing, jotting down, blah, 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 and then before I know it, it's the next day, and then I do the same and it's the next day. And then I look back on my week and I'm like, where did I have my own personal fun? Where did I go and do all so I think the importance is, how can I separate work life from home life? No matter how good and how fun your work life is, it is work. Stop labeling it as something else, okay? So that could be, for example, one thing I do is I try and keep certain things at my office and I don't bring them home. Another thing you could do is you could get your housemates or your partner or whoever, or your family, whoever you live with, to help you with this. And you say, if I work from home, at this time, do not let me look at my computer again. It gets closed and it has to go in a shelf or whatever. Like it's how am I going to, for the rest of the year, create a huge divide between work and personal free time? Because you are so much more fun than you give yourself credit for. You are way more creative, way more lighthearted, way more entertaining than you give yourself credit for, but you probably get so bogged down in thoughts of like what you have to do, what's coming up tomorrow, work, and then you end up being one of those people that live for the weekend. Stop living just for the weekend. You are allowed to have fun. You're allowed to have a great time. You're allowed to make every day a fun day, whether you have resources to spend money to do that, or whether you are on a budget and you're having fun for free, okay? It doesn't matter. You are able to do that. So I really want you to basically say to yourself, what are the parameters that I'm going to be putting in place moving forward, okay? And one thing that I think is crucial is not checking your emails. And there's like laws around this shit. If you're not getting paid to check your emails outside of work, then you shouldn't be doing it, okay? And if your boss wants to request it, let them request it. You don't have to do it until you're getting paid to do it, all right? Next one is relationships. This is a huge one. This is such a huge one. I want you to really identify, there's 3 questions I'm going to ask you in this relationship category. Number 1 is, what relationships are you going to choose to no longer put your energy into? And a really big one is when you're trying to force something that's just absolutely not happening, whether it's romantic, whether it's a friendship, whether it's closeness with someone in your family or with your in-laws or whatever. It's not saying you got to cut people out, but you got to say, where do I need to pull back or eliminate altogether as far as effort and energy that I'm putting into? What am I forcing? And the reason I thought of this is because the other day I went for a run. Surprise, surprise, I love running. And I ran past this bar, and I remembered like a few years ago, actually more than like probably 8 years ago, I was like really into this guy. And he was just like, we had a casual kind of thing going on. It's not like he didn't know who I was. We were casually kind of seeing each other. But I was forcing this thing to be something. It absolutely was not. We never were exclusive. We never properly officially dated. And I was like, this has to happen. I'm so into him. And there were so many warning signs that it was not reciprocated in that way. This guy did not want a relationship with me the way that I wanted. And I was putting in so much energy, so much time, so much mental effort that it was so draining. And I refused to look at it for what it was because I thought I wouldn't be able to handle the truth, basically, because I thought I'd be heartbroken or I thought I'd feel too rejected. But I can tell you that the moment that it ended, yeah, I did cry, but very, very soon after, I'm like, wow, I just feel so much more lighthearted. That anxiety of like, are they going to reply? What if, can I try and bump into them? Can I this? Can I that? I'm like, I'm never doing that to myself ever again. The freedom that I had, the mental freedom that I had when that fully was eliminated out of my life was irreplaceable. Okay. So it's hard in the moment, but ask yourself, what am I forcing? And friendships as well. And I'm not saying, oh, that friend never asked you out for dinner. Never call them back again. That's it. I'm saying if your friend never puts in the effort, you don't have to be angry about it, but just think, I might take a 3-month break. I'll see if they message me. Maybe not. There's not going to be any animosity here, but I'm going to take a break. The same goes for family, whatever. Okay. We need to put our energy, at least for the last 3 months, just to see what it feels like, into the right relationships. So the next question is, who would I like to connect with more than someone I'm not connecting with enough before the end of the year? Even if it's one catch up, even if it's a phone call, set yourself the goal to connect with someone who really matters to you. So for example, one thing that I really want to do is have a really good Zoom with one of my closest friends, Carly, in the US. We rarely contact each other. And I think that, we both understand that we're not like, we're just as bad as each other, if you want to call it. But every time we do have that call, it feels really good. So that's my person. I've just shared it with you. So ask yourself, who am I going to connect with before the end of the year that I don't normally connect with? So I couldn't say live, because I say live almost every day. And really make that your goal and put the effort into connecting with this person. And again, don't make it someone who you're like, are they going to reject me? Someone that is actually your friend, because I'm not here to make you feel, awkward and be rejected. And then the third one is, I want you to start planning a fun activity. And this could be either with your bestie, with a sibling, with someone who's close with you. It could be with your partner, but someone who is A, on board with doing this, and C, and B, who really, kind of ideally someone who's also listening to this episode who can, want to do the same thing, but it doesn't have to be. But I want you to plan a fun activity that you can do regularly, ideally weekly, leading up to the end of the year. So probably 12 times between now and the end of the year. And that activity can be whatever. And it could be aligned with your budget. It could be every Wednesday we're going for a long walk, or we're going to drive to this little spot and do a walk, or we're going to go have a sauna, or we'll go for an ocean dip, or we, like what I do with my cousin, every Tuesday we get together and cook, or we're going to go rock climbing, but we do this weekly thing. You have no idea. This is one of the best ways to separate work from personal life, where you have this fun activity. It's not tied to income. It's not tied to this, like, I have to be the best or get better. But it's just purely for fun. You do it with someone who you love, so you're even more in the zone because you're so present. It breaks up your week. It gives you something to look forward to. I can't speak highly enough about doing a joint activity with someone you adore. It's so good for the soul. So do that. And it could be the most basic thing, but do it ideally weekly, if not fortnightly, and ideally with the same person, so you can like have something that you get excited to and you're both going to commit on that same level. But if you can only do it, once every 3 weeks, that's fine as well, obviously. Now we're going to go into the next category, which is fun/hobbies and rewards. So I kind of spoke about this in the last point just then, about how you're going to weave in fun things. But I want you to zoom out and ask yourself, how can I actually bring fun into my life in a broader way? I think we get so caught up in like goal setting and seeing growth and achieving certain things and like getting healthier and getting fitter and, all that, which is great. I'm all for goal setting. But I think that we don't put having fun at the top of that. And I believe that everything, well, it's not even I believe, there's so much to back this, but everything really reflects your mood. And the happier you are, the easier it is for other things to go well in your life. I think we don't put enough importance on having fun because it seems like, childish and a bit like, cute fun, but I've got more important shit to do. But I think having fun is probably one of the most important things that we need to do in our life. It's obviously for our mental health, for our relationships, for stability in our life. What is the point of every goal that we try and achieve? It's to feel a feeling. And what is that feeling? It's going to be happiness or satisfaction or security, okay? And fun can provide you with so much of that. So I think it's really important to put fun back up on that pedestal like a child does and think, how can I really put the focus on fun? So one of those things is going to be the weekly thing you do with your friend, like I just suggested. But then there can be other things that you do for fun as well. And they could be solo things. It could be joining a group thing. It could be whatever it is that you want. I want to start, whatever. I'm going to join a run club. You might think, Alexis, that is absolutely not my idea of fun. I want to start doing pottery. I want to start whatever it is, okay? But you've got to ask yourself, how can I weave more fun into my life? Why don't you start inviting people out more often? Who cares if they say no or whatever, but you be the spontaneous one. And why don't you start doing spontaneous things? Call your friend being like, what are you doing tonight? Let's get a yochi, frozen yogurt for those of you that don't go to yochi. I love it so much. Not Spawn, but it should be Spawn. I should be sponsored by Yochi. And then another thing under this category of fun is I want you to think of a hobby that you would like to do when the holidays arrive. So a big one for me is puzzles and reading. I do puzzles and read a lot during the holidays, and it is such a great way to switch off in between the years. So in between end of the year and start of the year, it forces me to not do much work, to really slow down. And it's like one of those pajama days that I talk about that my sister taught me about. It's like it almost forces you to slow down so you are more excited about getting back into things later on. So I want you to think of what is one hobby that during the downtime, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, however long I take off, I am going to really get into. So you can take it, you can do puzzles and books. It sounds so lame, but it's so fucking, I'm so obsessed with it. And it's like a meditation almost. And then with rewards, I want you to come up with a whole bunch of rewards. So for example, one thing that I said to myself is I want to start creating more of a back catalog of podcast episodes. I'm always kind of running a little bit behind, and there's been a few days where the episodes come out late. So I said I want to bank at least 4 podcast episodes this week. This is my 3rd one that I'm doing, so I got 1 left after this. And I'm really enjoying it. It's going at a good pace. I'm not overstressing myself, but I'm doing 4 episodes this week. And I've got a few other things that I added to that list. But I didn't make it crazy, but I made sure that it was definitely a stretching myself a little bit to something that I haven't been doing consistently. And I said I'm going to reward myself. Now, I wanted to reward myself and I haven't done this in months and months and months because I'm like, should I be spending the money on that? Whatever. But I really wanted to reward myself with a massage. So I've told myself I will let myself spend the money on the massage at the end of the week if I get these 4 podcasts done. And that reward to look forward to. Look, I haven't achieved it yet, but I can tell you I'm really excited about this thing, and I can't fucking wait. And there's this guy at the massage place. It's Thai Village Massage in Potts Point. His name is Prince. He's the cutest Thai man ever, and he's the best. So that's what I want to do. So I think it's really important to have a whole list of rewards that can be tied to this goal thing that I said for the first point. So the reward could be I'm going to have frozen yogurt, I'm going to have a massage, or it could just be something where there's you're not spending any money at all, okay? Now, the next thing is number 5. We're talking about health. We're going to do something for our mental health and our physical health. So physical health, this could be anything. So this could be working on strength, healing an injury. It could be sleeping better. It could be having doing things to have more energy, fueling yourself better, drinking more water, drinking less alcohol, anything that's tied to physical health. And then mental health. So that's anything around being less stressed or less anxious, not burning out, increasing your focus, and also sleeping better. That falls into both categories. Now I want you to pick one thing in each category. And this is similar to the goal setting that we had, but this is more around your health. You pick one thing in each of those categories. And I want you to just focus on, for example, let's say we're talking about the health. How can you minimize it so there's no barrier to entry, but for your physical health and for your mental health? I think if you have nowhere to start and you need improvement on your sleep, I think sleep is the best place to start. How can I nail my bedtime routine, or how can I nail my not even routine, but just that 30 minutes before I go to sleep, not being on screens or whatever, whatever it is. But I want you to think, what are my goals around this? What's the most important goal here? Feeling less stressed, for example. Okay, so what's a relatively easy barrier to entry? Instead of being on my phone scrolling unlimited, I will still let myself use the phone, but when I'm on the phone, I'm going to get one of those timeout apps. So I can go on it, but after 10 minutes or 15 minutes, it will shut me out. And then I'm going to switch tasks. Okay. That's so easy because you're not cutting something out. You're not going cold turkey. You're just limiting the time. Okay. That's a great one for mental health that I would highly recommend everyone do, not just people that are anxious. Now we've got number 6, and this is home and physical possessions. This is huge. Okay. We're going to streamline and we're going to tidy. Organizing your physical space will equal an organized and a calm mind. I cannot bang on about this enough. Like it is, I will bang on about this till the day I'll be on my fucking deathbed and I'll be like, declutter your space. And it's not about being perfect, because I will go like from perfection to mess, perfection to mess, perfection to mess. And it's getting better. The mess isn't as big and it's getting less and less and less, but it's a working progress. But one thing that I recommend that you do is you think about, what is one thing that I really want to streamline between now and the end of the year? Is it my wardrobe? Is it my computer with all the files? What is something that when I look at it, I'm like, oh, is it my bathroom cupboards? Is it my kitchen? Is there fucking shit everywhere? Is it my pantry? What is the one thing that you're like, I just can't, I can't. And that's your physical clutter space, your mental focus. Like one thing that I've decided to do is I'm no longer going to have shit in my car. I'm so sick of having shit in my car. And I've been really good at maintaining that for the last 2 weeks. But you pick what it is and you're going to do one small thing towards that thing. Ideally every single week, but you could do like one big spring clean of your kitchen, and then weekly you're just doing like a 10-minute little maintenance thing there. Okay. And then the last one, and this is fun because it's so fucking easy. You're going to start one new habit, and it's got to be the easiest fucking habit you can do, because the point of this exercise, number 7, has got nothing to do with making that habit positively impact your life. The point of this exercise is to prove to you that you are able to stick to something and make that change and make it permanent to the point where you never have to think about it again. So this habit has to be really easy. Now, the example that I wrote down is having a hook by your door and thinking, from now on, no matter what, I'm going to walk in the door and put the keys on the hook. That is a brand new habit that requires next to no effort, because you literally open the door and it's right there and you put the keys on. Never have to think about it again. I've just created a whole new habit, and I've taught myself that it's possible, and I can scale it and make it harder in the future. But I've just taught myself that I can start a new, very basic habit, and then you can make the habits harder and harder and harder. Another habit could be, when I get out of the shower, I'm going to hang my towel in this certain way, or I'm going to, but I want the thing you choose, don't overthink it. Make it so simple that it's like, obviously it's got to be significant enough that you're going to do it every day. It's got to be that, like a part of your day like that. But I want it to be so basic that you're like, there is just no way I'm not going to do this. Okay. It's got to be insanely simple. Okay. But I want you to determine what that is and start today, unless there's no way you can start today, in which case start tomorrow. And you're going to do it every single day until the end of the year. And then because you've done it every single day, by default, you're going to do it for forever. Okay. So what is that habit going to be? And I want it to be fucking basic. And it's just to instill in you that you can start a new habit whenever. Make it trivial. Don't attach it to emotions. And then I've put an 8th one in there just for, all of you that are playing along at home. And it's fucking read my book. And I know a lot of you are currently reading it or have, well, no, the 30 days hasn't happened yet, so hopefully you haven't finished it. But my book, Chase Change, How to Chase Change is actually the title, which is 30 Days to Master Your Mindset. I would love for you guys to go through those 30 days, even if it takes you 60 days to go through it before the end of the year. Work through all of those modules as well. I think that will give you like a really great platform to end the year and feel really good about yourself, okay? So here we're working on, let's go over them again because I love them so much. So we've got goals. We're doing something small for your goals. You're going to remove that barrier to entry and make it like, I'm fucking doing 1%, 5%, 50%, whatever it is. I'm removing the barrier to entry and I'm just starting with one at a time. Then you got work. We're going to really separate that. We're going to have boundaries. We're going to separate work life from my actual life. I'm more than just my job. I'm more than just my role at work. I am a fun, dynamic individual. I'm multifaceted. I need to diversify who I am so I can feel really happy and relaxed and just rediscover old parts of myself that I used to love that I'm going to bring back. Relationships, we're going to cut the dead weight. We're going to get rid of putting in effort where it's not reciprocated and then feeling like absolute dog shit. We're going to feel good. We're going to be putting in effort with the people that we want to. We're going to be selecting someone we haven't touched base with in a while who we love, and we're going to spend time with them. Fun, hobbies, how we're bringing fun back up onto that pedestal, and rewards. What rewards can we put into practice but when we are achieving these little milestones? And then we've got health, mental and physical health. What are we doing towards that? Tiny things. And then home and physical possessions, declutter. Physical space equals declutter in the mind. And then we've got in bring one new tiny habit into your life and prove to yourself that you're able to stick to a habit. And then, of course, number 8 is buy my book. Guys, thank you so much. I would love for you guys to write to me and let me know how you're going with all of this. Put it on the Facebook group. I'm also due to do another live. I did a live on my Instagram last week for the launch of my book, and it was so fun. I loved answering your questions live. And I think I said to Shania, we're going to call it like morning matcha conversation pit or something, but we need to do another one. This is me doing which one is it? Number 3, relationships, connect with someone. So maybe that's my way of connecting with someone, as well as Carly in the US. But I'll do another live and we can have another conversation while we all drink a matcha, because that was fucking fun. Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're watching the video, hello. I quite enjoyed recording this from home. I'm very relaxed on my couch here. And next time if I record from home, I'll have Habib on top of me, my beautiful dog, not my partner Tyrone, but Habib. Anyway, love you guys so much. I'm babbling. I'm going to go instill a brand new habit, and then I've got to let you know what that habit's actually going to be, because I haven't thought about it yet. But I'm excited, and we'll do it all together. Anyway, love you guys so much. As always, remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to your brain. Don't take shit from anyone, and especially don't take shit from yourself. Don't care.